Thank you for taking a few minutes to review our Sunglo Greenhouse demonstration video. When we're done with this video, you will agree with us that the Sunglo Greenhouses are the best value greenhouses on the market. The tests we're going to demonstrate include a light transmittal test, an impact resistance test, a thermal insulation test, and an overall load-bearing, snow-bearing test. When everything is said and done, you will agree with us that the Sunglo Greenhouse is the best greenhouse under the sun. Now let's take a look at those tests. The first test that we're going to go ahead and perform today is going to be a test of light transmittal. We will use a light meter which will record the light transmitted from outside the greenhouse into the structure, and it records it in lux, which is just a different way of saying candle power. And we're going to see which greenhouse transmits the most light from outside to in. We're now inside the polycarbonate greenhouse and doing our light meter testing. The light meter is indicating that we have around 55,000 lux of brilliance. And now let's move over to the Sunglo Greenhouse and see how we're doing over in that one. Now we're inside the Sunglo Greenhouse and we're doing the same light meter reading. The meter is showing just about 63,000 lux. Based on the results of our light transmittal test, the Sunglo Greenhouse transmitted around 12 to 12.5% more light than did the polycarbonate greenhouse. And this is pretty much what we would expect when we look at the technical specifications of the polycarbonate material versus acrylic. According to the polycarbonate spec sheets, it transmits around 82% light, and the acrylic of the Sunglo transmits around 92% of light. And one thing to keep in mind is that as you go to thicker and thicker polycarbonate sheets, the amount of light transmitted goes down more and more. So when you go up to 6 millimeter, we're down to 80% light transmittal. When we go up to 10 millimeter, you're down into the 70s. Something to keep in mind about an advantage of a Sunglo. Now we're going to move on to the impact resistance tests. Now the impact resistance is very important to a greenhouse because whether the greenhouse is sitting in a yard where kids can be playing, whether there are lawn instruments, mowers or weed whackers that might get near it, or even if you're in an area where you might have hailstorms, the greenhouse impact resistance is what keeps it together and undamaged. We're going to have impact resistance tests against 3 of the most common materials that make up the sides of greenhouses. We're going to use a pitching machine that will pitch a ball between 50 and 60 miles an hour, as tested by our radar gun, and we're going to shoot at a simulated wall piece of a tempered glass, a polycarbonate, and an acrylic greenhouse. This is the ball hitting tempered glass that's approximately 5 millimeters thick. The results are pretty much as we'd expect. Now we have a ball hitting 4 millimeter thick polycarbonate. Finally, we have the ball hitting a Sunglo style acrylic wall. As you can see, the impact test shows that flying objects and glass do not mix. The polycarbonate sheet was also cracked in half by the impact. The Sunglo wall, however, remained undamaged. The next test that we're going to perform is going to be our load test to show the strength of the Sunglo Greenhouse. The load test is going to be performed in 2 steps. First is going to be the inside load test, and second will be the outside load test. For the inside load test, we're going to take 1,000 pounds of sand and spread it across the benches and the shelves inside the greenhouse. And just in case any of you feel that that's not enough of a load, we're also going to take and hang these 3 gentlemen from trusses inside the greenhouse, sitting on swings, to simulate hanging plants. All told, we'll have more than 1,650 pounds of sand and people hanging inside this greenhouse. Well, we've seen that the Sunglo Greenhouse can hold 1,650 pounds of people and sand on the inside. Let's go ahead and take a look to see what we can do on the outside. We've got a whole bunch of the 50-pound bags of sand that we're going to put on top of the greenhouse right now, and that's going to simulate our snow load capability. Don't take just our word for it, of course. We have an email here from John Bondioli from Homer, Alaska. He wrote us, "We've had our Sunglo greenhouse for almost 6 years. It has passed extreme weather tests with loads of over 2 feet of snow and intense winter and summer sun, along with occasional winds of 80 to 90 knots with flying colors. If Sunglo Greenhouses can thrive in Alaska conditions, it is truly a great product. You may use me as a reference anytime." Well, thanks, John, and let's go ahead and load the sand on and simulate our snow so that everyone can see. The results of the outside load test showed that we were able to get between 12 and 1,300 pounds of sand to sit on the upper ridge of the Sunglo greenhouse. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get the rest of the sand to sit on the greenhouse because the bags kept sliding off the side. That's a plus though, because just as sand slides off, so does snow. We do, of course, have engineers' documentation that does support our contention that the greenhouse will support more than 2,000 pounds of snow load. This test is going to show the efficiency of the Sunglo greenhouse. What we're going to show is how much cheaper it is to run the Sunglo greenhouse during the winter time than it is to run a polycarbonate greenhouse. Now, we're, in this case, doing this in a truck because we're doing this demonstration in the summertime. It would have been easier if we'd done it in the winter time when it was already cold out, but we didn't. So we take a truck and we've put in 200 pounds of dry ice. We're going to put in 2 greenhouses. One greenhouse made of 4mm polycarbonate, which is a material that looks like this. The other is with a Sunglo type greenhouse with a double wall acrylic, which looks like this. You'll notice that there's a big difference in the thickness of these two materials. This difference is airspace, and airspace makes the best insulation. So what we're going to do is, with the 2 greenhouses inside, we're going to have both of those greenhouses connected to thermostats and heaters. And we're going to try to keep those greenhouses at around 70 degrees. To figure out how much energy it costs us to do that, we're going to use a power monitor. This will tell us at the end of the test how many kilowatts or watts of electricity were used. And we're going to monitor the temperatures by using radio-controlled thermometers and a readout station. When we put all of this together, 1 station per greenhouse, we'll be able to keep track of the temperatures between the greenhouses, the temperature in the truck, and the amount of energy used to keep that greenhouse warm. Well, the results of our 17-hour thermal insulation test are in, and the polycarbonate greenhouse used about 1.5 times more electricity than did the Sunglo greenhouse. If you look at that over the lifespan of a polycarbonate greenhouse, maybe 7 to 10 years, that equates to between $500 and $1,000 of additional cost savings by owning a Sunglo. And that's for these smaller 8x10 models. If we look at a larger model, the savings would get to be even greater, as would the savings if you had a colder environment than the one we were testing in. And one last thought on the greenhouse walls. If you look at a greenhouse that has a single pane, be it acrylic or be it glass, the insulation values of those materials are even worse. So the savings of a Sunglo would be even greater compared to those models as well. Thank you for viewing the Sunglo Greenhouse demonstration video. This video has demonstrated that the Sunglo Greenhouse is the best valued greenhouse on the market. We have shown superior light transmittal, impact resistance, load-bearing capabilities, and an insulation value that will save you money for years to come. Discover what thousands of other satisfied Sunglo customers have discovered, that the Sunglo Greenhouse is the best greenhouse under the sun.